Hey everyone! I'm going to start a daily reading of a chapter book. Now, you might be familiar with this series, The Magic Treehouse, and we're going to start off with Stallion by Starlight. This has a very famous character that the main characters travel back in time to visit, who you are going to recognize that we learned about towards the earlier part of the year. I'm going to start off by reading you the prologue in case you're not familiar with this series. One summer day in Fog Creek, Pennsylvania, a mysterious treehouse appeared in the woods. It was filled with books. A boy named Jack and his sister Annie found the treehouse and soon discovered that it was magic. They could go any time and place in history just by pointing to a picture in one of the books. While they were gone, no time at all passed in Fog Creek. Jack and Annie eventually found out that the treehouse belonged to Morgan Le Fay, a magical librarian from the legendary realm of Camelot. They have since traveled on many adventures in the magic treehouse and completed many missions for both Morgan Le Fay and her friend Merlin the magician. Teddy and Kathleen, two young enchanters from Camelot, have sometimes helped Jack and Annie in both big and small ways. Jack and Annie are about to find out what their next Magic Treehouse mission will be. Chapter 1, The Ring of Truth. I love looking at your notebook, Annie said. It helps me remember all of our adventures. She turned a few pages. Aw, polar bears in the Arctic, the cubs were so cute. And Pompeii and the volcano. Oh my gosh, remember Hercules? Yep, Jack said without looking up. It was a warm day in June. Jack and Annie were sitting on the front porch of their house. While Annie thumbed through his notebook, Jack was reading a book about giant pandas in China. Oh, said Annie as she flipped through more pages. The ghost town in the Wild West, the invisible piano player, remember? Yep. Annie turned another page. Remember Australia? The baby kangaroo, the koala, the dingoes, the forest fire. Jack looked up. Yep, he said. Look, that's all cool, but I can't talk right now. I'm trying to read the last page of my book. You're going to need a new notebook soon. This one is almost full. Annie closed the notebook and put it into Jack's backpack. She stretched. I think I'll go for a bike ride, she said. Maybe stop by the library, go to the pool. Jack closed his book. Done, he said. Now, I need something new to read. I'll ride to the library with you. As he pulled on his backpack, Jack caught sight of something out of the corner of his eye. He turned, and what he saw was incredible. A small penguin was standing on the sidewalk in front of their house. Penny? Jack said. Oh, cried Annie. Oh, she dashed off the porch. Jack ran after Annie. They both knelt down beside the little penguin. What are you doing here? Annie asked. Jack picked Penny up, and he and Annie stroked the penguin's downy head. Hey, what's happening, Penny? He said. Why are you here? Beep. The treehouse, said Annie. It must be back. Hey, guys. Jack and Annie's dad called from behind the screen door of their porch. Annie quickly jumped in front of Jack to hide the little penguin. What is it, Dad? She said. I just made some fresh lemonade, their dad said. Thanks, Annie said. We'll have some as soon as we come back. We're heading into the woods for a few minutes, said Jack. Okay, it'll be in the fridge, their dad said. Thanks, said Jack. See you later. Let's go, said Annie. Holding Penny in his arms, Jack hurried with Annie down the sidewalk. Did you come here with Teddy and Kathleen? He asked the penguin. Peep. Is that a yes or no? Asked Jack. Peep. Yes, Jack said. No, said Annie at the same time. Well, I guess we'll soon find out, said Jack. Jack and Annie crossed the quiet street and headed into the Frog Creek woods. As they hurried through the dappled light, the air smelled of summer. Squirrels scurried up trees. Crows cawed to one another. When Jack and Annie came to the tallest oak, they stopped. The treehouse was nestled in the branches near the top. A long rope ladder dangled down to the ground. Teddy! Kathleen! shouted Annie. There was no answer. Peep! So you came here all by yourself? Jack said to Penny. Is something wrong in Camelot? Are Teddy and Kathleen okay? What about Morgan and Merlin? Let's go, said Annie. She started up the rope ladder, still holding the little penguin. Jack awkwardly climbed after her. Oh, wow, said Annie when she reached the treehouse. Oh, wow, what? Asked Jack. He hoisted Penny into the treehouse and climbed in after her. Then he also whispered, oh, wow. An old man with a long white beard and a pointed hat covered in stars and a red cloak stood in a shadowy corner. Merlin, breathed Annie. I see Penny found you, the master magician of Camelot said in his velvety voice. The little penguin waddled to Merlin and stood beside him. Yes, said Jack, she came right up to our house. Is something wrong in Camelot? Asked Annie. No, all is fine, said Merlin. Your friends are well. I just decided I wanted to visit you myself. Cool, Jack said shyly. Merlin had never come to Frog Creek all by himself. Let me tell you what's on my mind, said Merlin. I have been thinking very deep thoughts, pondering questions that wise men and women have pondered through the ages. Take a look at the picture here. Pondering? Asked Annie. Ponder means to think carefully about a subject, Jack said. Right? He asked Merlin. Exactly, said Merlin. I have been pondering questions about life. For instance, I have been wondering about the idea of greatness. What are the secrets of greatness? What makes a person truly great? That is a good question, said Jack. I cannot answer it all by myself, as I do not live in your world, the world of time and mortals, said Merlin. So on each of your next 4 missions, you will meet someone who will help you learn a true secret of greatness. That sounds like fun, said Annie. I hope it will be, said Merlin. To begin, how would you like to meet someone called Alexander the Great? Oh man, I've heard of him, said Jack. I haven't, said Annie, but he sounds, well, great. Merlin smiled. Can I ask a question? Jack said. Of course, said Merlin. To be practical, how will we know when we have found a secret of greatness? Jack asked. I pondered that as well, said Merlin. I have brought something magical to help you. The magician reached into his cloak and pulled out a small gold ring. I call this the Ring of Truth. The Ring of Truth, Annie repeated. I have cast a spell on the ring, said Merlin. Wear it on your journeys. When you discover a true secret of greatness, the ring will glow. May I wear it? Annie asked Merlin. He nodded. Annie held out her hand, and the magician slipped the gold band onto her finger. I have brought another bit of magic as well, said Merlin. He reached into his cloak again, and this time he pulled out a tiny glass bottle. Silver mist swirled around inside of it. Mist gathered at first light on the first day of the new moon on the Isle of Avalon, said Merlin. Wow, said Annie. The magical mist will allow you to experience greatness in yourselves, said Merlin. When you need help, make a wish to have an extraordinary talent, then breathe in the scent of the mist, and for 1 hour that talent will be yours. The magic will work only once on each journey. Thanks, said Jack. He took the bottle from Merlin and put it into his backpack. And finally, Morgan asked me to give you a research book. The magician reached into his cloak for a 3rd time and pulled out a book. What's the title of that book? Ancient Macedonia. Ooh. I've never heard of Macedonia, said Jack. It's the kingdom where Alexander was born, said Merlin. The ancient Macedonians are fierce and warlike, so travel cautiously. Fierce? Warlike? Jack wanted to hear more. Merlin picked Penny up and raised his hand farewell. Go now, he said, and good luck. Bye, Merlin. Bye, Penny, said Annie. Peep. Wait, began Jack, but before Jack could ask another question, Merlin and Penny vanished. Let's go, said Annie. She pointed at the cover of the book. I wish we could go there, she said. the wind started to blow. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still, absolutely still. Well, that's the end of chapter 1. Very, very interesting. So we have our two main characters, Jack and Annie. We know that they travel back through time in a magic treehouse. We know that Merlin comes and helps them. Merlin gave Annie a gold ring that will glow when they find a secret of greatness. And Merlin gave Jack a little glass bottle with silver mist that will allow them to make a wish to have an extraordinary talent. They're going to visit Alexander the Great in hopes to find a secret of greatness. I want you to think, while you're waiting for our second chapter, what do you remember about Alexander the Great when we learned about him earlier this year? Thanks for joining today, and remember, check back for Canvas at Canvas tomorrow to listen to chapter 2. Love and miss you guys. Bye.